Hey everyone, it's Ashley the Thrifty Chica. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thanks so much for coming back. So I was in Dollar Tree and I saw these placemats and I totally fell in love with them and I couldn't wait to do something with them. So I brought them home and I decided to show you guys how to make a fall wall hanging, so stay tuned. So let's go over what you'll need for this project, and what I started with were these Dollar Tree placemats, and I really fell in love with them. I think the designs are gorgeous, and they had two separate ones at our store that I really fell in love with. So I picked up two of each pattern and I'm going to go ahead and use those for the wall hanging. Also, you're going to need either a sewing machine or needle and thread. You can do this project by hand. It might take you a little bit longer, but it's still possible, so if you don't have any specialized technology. A pair of scissors. And then you're going to need some sort of ribbon. Dollar Tree carries a ton of varieties of ribbon, including this kind of wire edge ribbon here. You can use that, or you can use something more like burlap. It might be a little bit sturdier, so I'd probably recommend going with that type. This one I found at Dollar General for $2, but Dollar Tree has ones that are very similar for $1. The next step is to decide how we want to arrange the placemats. For these ones, because they're very vibrant, I decided to kind of offset them from each other, and that way it creates a little bit more interest. If you like one type of placemat over the other, you can always pick out a more plain placemat and put that in and substitute it in and just change up the arrangement. So it's very flexible and you just decide how you want it to look. The next step is to set up your equipment. For me, I'm going to use a sewing machine because this makes it a 5-minute project. It is very, very quick to do with a sewing machine. If you decide to sew by hand, you can take the materials with you and just kind of chill out and maybe watch a TV show while you're sewing, and it'll go by really quickly. And then what we're going to do is take the first two placemats that we're going to work with. So I decided I want this to be the one on the left side and this to be the one on the right side. And what I'm going to do is put them so that they're the right sides, the prettiest sides are facing together, and I'm just going to sew along this one seam here. And so basically it creates a little fold in half, so it'll hold it right there, and then when I open it up you'll see both. So once the two pieces are facing each other, and try to make sure they're as even as possible, I'm going to sew on this inside seam here, because unless you have a very heavy duty machine, you might find it a little difficult to sew through these two layers here. The smaller layers here will work a little bit easier to sew. So I'm going to go ahead and get those arranged to start sewing. So we're going to take our project off the sewing machine, and there's going to be two strings, one on the bottom that we'll have to clip off and one on the top, and just clip it closely. And as you can see, once you unfold it, you'll have a nice clean even edge there. And then what we'll do is start sewing on the next one. So for this one, we're having this one be the left side and this one be the right. And we'll make sure that they're aligned correctly because we don't want this to be flipped. So we're gonna, now that that's in the right position, we're gonna put both sides together and we're gonna make another seam straight down there. So once you've finished with the second one, you should have two separate sets that are sewn together, and what we're going to do is put this one on the bottom, and then we're going to put the last one that we did on the top and just have both sides face each other. And we're going to line these up, and this is the middle seam where they will all connect. So what we're going to do is just line these up and make sure that they're lined up correctly. These center sections, as you can see, will meet. So what we'll do is we'll have one turn one way and one turn the other way, and that way you're not sewing through giant amounts of fabric like you would if they were turned the same direction. So just make sure to offset those. And just as a quick tip, if you want to make sure that the ends stay aligned perfectly, make sure you use some pins, and you can take out the pins as you sew along. That'll just keep it a little bit nicer and neater for the finished product. The next step is to take your finished product here, and you're going to turn this around. And what we're going to do is sew some loops on the back, and that'll just make it easier to hang on the wall. Okay, so we're going to create the loops here, and I'm going to measure them approximately 8 inches in length, and that way I can double it and I have plenty of room to sew them on and for a rod to go through. You can use curtain rods or dowel rods to hang them, but this should work for pretty much any size rod. And I'm going to cut multiples of these in the same length, and that way I can spread them out along the top of our wall hanging. So you're going to take your first loop, and it's folded in half, as you can see, and what we're going to do is sew this onto the back here, and that way we have a nice tab for hanging on the front. So make sure, however you align these on the back here, that you keep it consistent. You can have it down further if you prefer and have multiple rows of sewing to keep it extra secure, or you can have it up closer to the top and then just hide it in the stitch line here. All of those are completely valid and they work. Just make sure that you keep the measurements the same, because you want it to hang correctly all the way across the top. And now that we have one on the far right here, I'm going to make one on the far left. And as you can see, we have ties on either end here. So what we're going to do is fill in this middle space, spacing them evenly with the remainder of the ties. The next step is to take our iron, and there's going to be some areas here that need to be ironed down. Just make sure that when you look at the seams here, that you pick a direction for the seam to go all the way across, and iron it so that the seam is going the same way each way, and that'll give it the flattest look possible. And so for this one, we're going to have this one go down. I'm going to iron that, and then we'll continue ironing the remainder of these seams. So this is our finished tutorial, and to hang this up, there's a couple different options that you can use. One is you can find a small curtain rod. They have those at places like dollar stores. I've seen them at Family Dollar for around $2 to $3, as well as places like Walmart. And you can also pick up a dowel rod, and that's right around the dollar mark at Walmart, and just a couple of hooks, and put those on either end, and it's plenty strong enough to hold up this wall hanging. And kind of the neat thing about these projects is you can change this out every season. They have really beautiful seasonal placemats, so you can make one for every season and then just hang it up and you have a whole wall taken care of for fun seasonal decor. So if you guys are really interested in more DIYs and crafts, make sure to hit the like button, and that way I know you guys are enjoying this series of crafts. And if you want to learn more, or if you have a specific decorating dilemma, check out my Facebook group. It's Dollar Tree DIYs and Decor. I'll leave a link in the description box for you, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!